Hi, I'm Avery Davidson.
And I'm Kristen Oakes White. Thank you for joining us for this special edition of This Week in Louisiana Agriculture, the only TV show bringing Louisiana farmers and consumers together every week.
We're on board the steamboat Natchez. This boat is the 9th steamer to bear the name Natchez, but most people who walk through the French Quarter know the Natchez best for its 32-note calliope. Carl Wiggers will share much more about this storied steamboat later in the show.
It really is an amazing vessel, but first let me tell you why we're here in the Crescent City. The New Orleans Marriott played host to the 94th annual meeting of the Louisiana Farm Bureau Federation. More than 1,500 farmers, ranchers, and their families attended this year's convention.
Convention is truly a family event with the Queens and talent contests, but the annual Farm Bureau Convention is also where farmers and ranchers learn about the challenges facing their industries and to set policy to guide the state's largest general farm organization into the future.
The future of Louisiana's representation in Washington, D.C. could also be in the hands of the state's farmers and ranchers.
It sure seemed that way with so many candidates for U.S. Senate and Congress coming here to New Orleans to speak to Louisiana Farm Bureau members. Public Service Commissioner Foster Campbell, a Democrat running for the U.S. Senate, spoke at the Friday general session. His Republican opponents in that race, Congressman Charles Bustani from Louisiana's 3rd District, Congressman John Fleming from the 4th District, and retired Air Force Colonel Rob Maness spoke before the Farm Bureau's voting delegates on Sunday morning. They're all running for the seat soon vacated by Louisiana's senior senator and former gubernatorial candidate David Vitter. Congressman Ralph Abraham from Louisiana's 5th Congressional District also spoke before the delegates, though it's not likely Abraham will have any serious opposition in his race for re-election. These political visits came on the heels of an article published in the News Star out of Monroe titled "Politics on the Farm, Ag Wields Powerful Influence in Louisiana Elections." In the article, reporter Greg Hilburn points to last year's Farm Bureau Convention as the turning point in the gubernatorial campaign for now Governor John Bell Edwards, and that it was at this forum where Senator David Vitter showed he was a vulnerable candidate. Louisiana Farm Bureau President Ronnie Anderson says the reason is simple why Farm Bureau has such an influence on politics: farmers and ranchers get out to vote.
You know, between now and the election, Farm Bureau involvement in these campaigns is going to be even more important in the congressional races and in the Senate race. And I think you're going to see more attention made to our boards, our parish presidents, visits to our state board and other entities in Farm Bureau. And I think as we build toward the fall, you're going to see more and more interest in Farm Bureau as an ally in these elections.
Congressional candidate for Louisiana's 3rd District, Scott Angel, also visited with farmers and ranchers. The Louisiana Farm Bureau Convention started the same day the second special session of the Louisiana Legislature came to a close.
The lower 9th Ward is buzzing with life 11 years after Hurricane Katrina. A beekeeper in this area, once destroyed by floodwaters, is using honey to help his community. As TWILA's AJ Sabine shows us, this New Orleans beekeeper is showing his big city neighbors just how urban agriculture can be both profitable and community-minded.
First thing we do is get our smoker lit up.
9th Ward beekeeper David Young and his apprentice Bruce Gebhardt get ready to harvest sweet honey in a New Orleans neighborhood that was once home to sugarcane.
This is where you can see how much that honey weighs.
In a vacant lot across from Young's Capstone Community Gardens, David and Bruce pull honey supers. The supers contain frames filled with honey. Young says it took a while to build up his hives. However, now he can see how far his bees have come.
The only existing comb that they had to start with would have been on these 3 frames, and those would have only been partial. So you can see by the number of bees, and if you look at this frame and this frame, you can see they're also building and drawing out new comb and filling that with honey.
Young explains that he got into honeybees to enhance production of Capstone Community Gardens, which provides fresh produce and now honey to neighborhood farmers markets. He says his honey is a win-win for the garden and the community.
For last year we went from $10,000 worth of honey up to about $15,000. and we're looking to exceed that this year because we've just brought our number of hives this spring up to 65.
Next, it's on to extraction. Dave teaches his volunteers, Devin and Mackenzie, how to decap and then extract the honey. Both say volunteering in this community is a great challenge.
Well, first of all, I don't think a lot of people really are in touch with their surroundings and using the land to basically live off of. I know personally that I haven't had a lot of experience with that, so I think it's important just to kind of be aware that you can get all these resources from the land and also take care of it.
The thing that's been most enriching has been learning all of the new practices in his gardening, in apiculture with beekeeping, and really just helping bring food to the community.
After a few turns of the extractor, the honey flows right back into the community that produced it. Since 2009, Capstone Community Gardens Orchard and Honey has grown and provided food to those in need both in and around the 9th Ward. Foods and honey produced in the community garden is sold or donated via a weekly farmers market. If you'd like more information about where to get some of that great Capstone honey or volunteer for the community, log into our website at twilatv.org. And Kristen, you may remember, I think you interviewed David a couple of years ago.
I did, and it's that place is so amazing because you don't think of agriculture in the largest city in Louisiana, and it's a true testament though that you can grow anything and you don't need a lot of space.
That's true.
Great story. AJ Sabine.
We've certainly talked about and eaten a lot of food here in New Orleans. The cuisine here is much like the dish so many people associate with the Crescent City, a gumbo, a mixture of cuisines from Europe, the Caribbean, and Africa. But as TWILA's Neil Melanson shows us, one company is looking to add another item to the list of foods made here in Louisiana: tortillas.
It may look like an assembly line, but the end product tastes just like handcrafted, fresh Mexican food. Olanola Foods in Geismar, Louisiana is the first large-scale tortilla-making facility in the state, promising to bring that fresh taste of newly made tortillas right to your front door. Rod Olson and Kevin Holden used to work for Zapp's Potato Chips. Now they're the bosses at Olanola, bringing freshness you normally can't find outside of Mexico or the Southwest.
Originally, we focused on just corn and flour tortillas. We were in the local retailers, just really here in the Baton Rouge area. And then we got a call from Rouse's that they wanted us in all their stores in Louisiana. And then they wanted us in their Mississippi stores and their Alabama stores.
And Texas and Kansas as well. As for Olson, he's not just a founder, he's also the delivery guy. It's a familiar role. He started as a delivery man for Zapp's and worked his way all the way up to company president there. He's seeing Olanola tortillas following the same path to the top.
Take Rouse's at Carrollton, one of their biggest stores. When I first set up the rack there, the manager kind of said, well, I guess hopefully in 2 weeks you'll need to put some product in it, and it was blown out the next day.
The Perkins Road Calandros in Baton Rouge was one of the first stores to carry Olanola. They're seeing that same appetite for fresh tortillas coupled with the same quality of service you normally see from a long-standing Louisiana brand.
We've always had a very prominent display in the store. The guys have been really easy to work with. Local maker of product, working with a local grocery store, it's worked really well for us.
The company also recently started making fresh tortilla chips, a transition Holden describes as natural as it is crisp.
We have restaurants that asked us to take our tortillas and cut them so they can fry them into chips. And then pretty soon we said, well, we could do that. So we started frying, we got a fryer, started frying them in that same coconut oil we make our flour tortillas with.
Chips that, if not literally flying out the door, are certainly popular by the truckload.
Our chips have gotten so popular, we've had restaurants buy our chips in the stores, and now have asked us to bag them in 10-pound bags so they can serve them at the restaurant instead of making their own chips.
One of the innovative things Olanola has done is come up with a microwavable bag for restaurant-quality chips right at home.
And really that's what makes a tortilla chip great at a Mexican restaurant. It was made from a tortilla that was cut, cooked a few days later, and they're warm when they bring them to the table. So now all of a sudden you have that same experience at home.
The chips, salsa, and tortillas here are only a taste of things to come. Holden says there is a top secret project they're working on that brings a taste of their expertise at Zapp's to their new company.
So we're playing around with what potentially could be not a microwavable popcorn, but a popcorn that's made and flavored a way that's never been done before. But that's about as far as we can spill the beans so far.
Now you can find Ola Nola products all across Louisiana now, and for more information on where you can find them, we'll link you to our website at twilatv.org. And Avery, of course, you were there with me. You know, one of the things I thought was great is that they're the guys from Zapp's, you know, so they've gone from one Louisiana product to another, and they were telling me that back when they worked for Zapp's, they were heavily involved in Katrina relief efforts. They were, they bottled water, they got things of chips together for all of the relief workers, and while they were down, they got electricity up and running first before many others in the Gramercy area there, and they started shipping all that stuff out to all those relief workers and refugees.
What I thought was neat was you kind of saw the spirit of Ron Zappi in these folks, because I mean,
they worked closely with them.
Yeah, they worked closely with him for so long that you kind of saw that, well, we'll try it. If it doesn't work, so be it.
And it's reflected in their tortillas and their chips.
Oh, thank you very much, Neil Molasson.
Farming is a long-standing tradition in Louisiana, and for some families it has spanned generations. That devotion to an occupation that puts food on our tables and clothes on our backs is why the LSU Ag Center, the Louisiana Department of Agriculture and Forestry, Farm Bureau, and Louisiana Land Bank recognized 17 family farms during convention. They are now listed as Century Farms. Craig Gautreaux shares with us how these families have been a part of Louisiana agriculture for more than 100 years.
To recognize family farms that have survived the trials and tribulations of agriculture for more than 100 years, the Century Farm program was created through a partnership between the Louisiana Land Bank, Louisiana Farm Bureau Federation, the LSU Ag Center, and the Louisiana Department of Agriculture and Forestry. The program recognized 17 family farms for their contributions to Louisiana agriculture for the past 100 years or more at the Louisiana Farm Bureau's annual convention in New Orleans.
People's culture, their standard, their ways of lives have all gone back to agriculture, and every agriculture affects us all. And I really wanted to hit home the ideas and facts that there has been people for many years, decades, generations, all performing agriculture practices.
John Gay and his family formed the E.J. Gay P&M Company have been raising sugarcane for more than 200 years. He credits the fertile soil of Iberville Parish as one of the many reasons for their longevity, but said a common denominator of all Century Farms is their ability to overcome adversity.
I rode on the shoulders of these guys, you know, since 1807. They've been putting things together and at times losing things, land and production, but what they did was persevere.
John Daly Jr., representing Buff Prairie Farm in Franklin Parish, witnessed one of the most trying times for American agriculture, the Great Depression.
It was tough, but everybody was having the same problem, and people worked together as they do when you have a crisis. We not only had nickel cotton, but we also had horrible weather during the early 30s. And people talk about drought, but they don't know what drought really was if they missed the part of the 30s.
Technology has made many advancements in agriculture in the past 100 years, but both Gay and Daly said today's yields would not have been envisioned by their predecessors.
When my dad got back from World War II, and they were struggling to make 15 tons of cane to the acre, and we're making over 40 tons these days.
If we had 600-pound cotton, we wanted a neighbor to say, how's your crop? So we could say, man, we made 600 pounds. Now we make 1,250, 1,300 pounds an acre on the same land.
Sustaining a family farm for a century takes dedication and commitment. For these 17 families, it was a celebration and an opportunity to meet with others who share a similar passion for agriculture.
It was a lot of fun to come here and see 16 other families across the state that enjoyed the same recognition, some of them going back into the 1700s, which was fascinating.
As part of the ceremony, the family farms received a certificate and a display sign to recognize their long-term commitment to Louisiana agriculture.
There are now 49 family farms honored as Louisiana Century Farms. The program started 2 years ago. With agriculture playing such a vital role in our state's colorful history, we are sure there will be many more to come.
Oh yeah, looking forward to seeing more farms added to that Century Farms list. Well, still to come on this special edition of TWILA from the 94th annual meeting of the Louisiana Farm Bureau Federation, we see the role of social media played a big part at this year's convention.
But first, we take you on a cruise down the mighty Mississippi aboard the steamboat Natchez. Stay with us. When you think of New Orleans, you think of the sights in the French Quarter, the smell of fresh beignets, or the sound of a jazz trio.
Another iconic image associated with this great city is the steamboat we're on right now, the steamboat Natchez. For more than 40 years, guests have boarded this vessel to see the Crescent City from the mighty Mississippi. TWILA's Carl Wiggers now takes us along for a cruise to get a closer look at this historic steamboat.
The sound of New Orleans is unmistakable to natives and tourists alike. For anyone who grew up here, the steamboat Natchez is as much a part of the city as beignets.
There's no other word that I can put in one word that could describe the Natchez and the city of New Orleans. There's a lot of love here, a lot of love. And this boat has shared a lot of love with a lot of people over the last 40 years.
Robert Mitchell, or Captain Robbie, has been with the Natchez since 1975, the same year this steamboat took her maiden voyage.
When I first got this job, I was playing football and I had to make a choice. And the choice was this job because I needed the money. And I don't regret that.
This is the 9th steamboat to bear the name Natchez. It features the best of modern construction, comfort, and safety while holding true to the authentic style of her classic predecessors. Part of that authentic steamboat culture is the sound coming from the steam-powered calliope. It entertains locals and tourists as they walk along the banks of the Mississippi. This familiar melody welcomes passengers boarding for a cruise down the river where they experience the sights and sounds of New Orleans. They'll do that aboard one of only 2 true steam-powered sternwheelers on the Mississippi River today.
This is the bread and butter. This is homegirl. All other boats is cool. But this Natchez, there won't be another one like it.
Sharing the culture of steamboating and the history of New Orleans are 2 things Captain Robbie is very passionate about. However, as the Natchez makes her final approach, he reminds his passengers what New Orleans is really all about.
We leave you but with one thought. It doesn't matter what the question is, the answer is always love. Make sure you tell someone today that you love them. Thanks again for riding Crescent. So long, everybody.
We mentioned earlier how iconic the image of the steamboat Natchez is, but the sound of the steam-powered calliope is just as memorable. You can't walk down Decatur towards Jackson Square without hearing the classic melodies coming from right here on this boat. To learn more about the steamboat Natchez or to book your own cruise, visit our website at twilatv.org. And you guys, I came and I was so surprised with how much fun it really was. They tell all kinds of stories as you go down the river and point out different landmarks along the river. Really, really neat, and I enjoyed it.
What I enjoyed was whenever Lauren and I went and took a ride down, getting to see the Domino Sugar refinery down there in Chalmette and realizing just how much agriculture was right there by us and how important this river is.
Right in the middle of the city. It's really neat.
Excellent fun. Carl Wiggers, thank you very much.
Well, in this week's special edition of Trending on TWILA, we show you why social media took center stage during the 94th annual convention.
This year, social media connected Farm Bureau members to the event in New Orleans like never before.
From rhinestone beauties and barnyard costumes to the mile-long line at the valet stand, social media was abuzz with posts from the convention.
Convention goers tweeted and posted pictures and statuses all week with the hashtag LFBF16 for a chance to win one of the iPad minis we gave away during the nightly events. We recorded more than 500 LFBF posts from across Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Farm Bureau members, both young and old, showed off their pics online from our convention photo booth. We love seeing all of the fun photos you guys shared with us.
For the first time ever, you could connect to the convention from home. We broadcast a live stream of the awards, talent, and Queens programs for folks who couldn't make it to New Orleans this year to watch their friends and family online.
I was really impressed with how many people tuned in. We also launched our new Snapchat account during the convention to give you a visual snapshot, and a bunch of them with filters from all the different events as they happened during the convention.
Thanks for sharing all of your convention experiences with us. We really enjoyed seeing how you experience convention, so that was something neat. I thought thought it was different this year.
It was neat, and also because we were able to pull up all those posts on the big screens in the nightly events. So it was almost like an instant gratification, a two-way street, and had so many people comment about how fun it was to just feel like they were involved.
That's true. It worked out perfectly. Well, now we're moving on to this week's TWILA Trivia. Last time I asked you, milk reduces the amount of which substance in your saliva? And the correct answer is B, acid. This week's trivia question is, in less than a year, Facebook added about how many users? Is it A, 2 million, B, 200 million, or C, 2 billion? To enter this week's trending trivia contest, simply log on to your Facebook or Twitter account and post your answer with the hashtag TWILA Trivia. Or you can always submit your answer on our website at twilatv.org.
Still to come on this special edition of This Week in Louisiana Agriculture from the Steamboat Natchez, we take a look at all of the big winners from this year's convention. Stay with us.
The Louisiana Farm Bureau Convention is a time to recognize the accomplishments of the parish farm bureaus and the work they've done over the last 12 months promoting agriculture.
The highest honor a parish farm bureau can receive is the President's Trophy. This year marked the 4th win in a row for Avoyelles Parish. Parish President Philip Lamartiniere accepted the award from Farm Bureau President Ronnie Anderson.
I am surprised. I really, truly am surprised.
This year's Young Farmer and Rancher Achievement Award winners were Ryan and Danielle Yerby of Grant Parish. The Yerbys grow corn, soybeans, wheat, pecans, and also raise cattle. The couple receives a $40,000 credit towards a Chevy or GMC vehicle of their choice, courtesy of the Southern Farm Bureau Casualty Insurance Company. They also receive cash awards, including $1,500 in equipment rentals from H&E Equipment of Shreveport, as well as other prizes.
Even putting the application together really made us think long and hard about how we were going to farm this year, and the corners that we had to cut, the sacrifices that we had to make, and winning this award just makes it all worthwhile.
The Yerbys go on to compete at the American Farm Bureau Convention in Phoenix, Arizona this January. There, 3 finalists will receive $500 in equipment from Steel, a Case IH Farmall 65A tractor, and the winner will receive another pickup truck courtesy of Chevrolet.
Cassie Berard of St. Martin Parish was named the Outstanding Young Farm Woman for 2016. She received a $2,000 Visa gift card, compliments of the Louisiana Farm Bureau Mutual Insurance Company, $1,500 worth of equipment rentals from H&E Equipment in Shreveport, along with other prizes.
Katie Sistrunk of Iberville Parish won this year's discussion meet. Sistrunk received a host of prizes for her victory, including a John Deere Gator utility vehicle, courtesy of the Southern Farm Bureau Life Insurance Company, a cash awards from Syngenta and Gowan Company, and $1,500 worth of equipment rentals from H&E Equipment.
Tyler Bageron of Point Capee Parish took home the top prize in the Talk Meet competition. His speech outlined an advertising plan to expand the influence of Farm Bureau as the voice of agriculture.
This year's Excellence in Agriculture Award winners were Tom and Molly Usry of DeSoto Parish. The award is presented to a young farmer or agricultural industry support person who exhibits leadership in both Farm Bureau and agriculture as a whole. The Usrys receive a $7,500 credit toward the purchase of a 4-wheel ATV, courtesy of Louisiana Land Bank, $1,500 worth of equipment rentals from H&E Equipment, and other prizes. They will compete at the national level during the American Farm Bureau's convention in Phoenix, Arizona in January.
The culmination of the Farm Bureau Convention is the crowning of Miss Farm Bureau.
Our 2016 Louisiana Farm Bureau Queen is contestant number 17, Miss Yemi Fontenot of Jeff Davis Parish.
Yemi Fontenot of Jeff Davis Parish was crowned the 2016 Louisiana Farm Bureau Queen. Fontenot competed against 27 other local parish Farm Bureau queens to win the title. Now, not only is she queen, but the other contestants also chose Fontenot as Miss Congeniality.
You can find video and photos from the 94th Annual Farm Bureau Convention on our website at twilatv.org.
That does it for this special edition of This Week in Louisiana Agriculture. From New Orleans, we'd like to thank the folks here at the Steamboat Natchez for allowing us to come on the boat and go rolling on the river.
Be sure to join us next week when we'll show you how farmers and ranchers are learning to be ag leaders in our nation's capital.
Until then, you can watch all of our stories online on our website, twilatv.org. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, anywhere online you can find us.
For all of us here at TWILA, thanks for watching. We'll see you right here next week.